Hi, my friends. Thank you for joining me again for part 2 of this very special study. It's a plausibility scenario based on the gospel. How many visits to the tomb do you count? We have covered the dark time visits to the tomb already. You can find those in part of them John, Matthew 28, and so forth, beginning at the end of the Sabbath, then while it was yet dark. And now we're coming up to the very early morning accounts. This is the very early morning account that we'll cover from Luke 24:1. Now upon the first day of the week, very early in the morning, they came unto the sepulchre, bringing the spices which they had prepared, and certain others with them. Do you know they don't even get an opportunity to use those spices, do they? This is 2, and we'll go through 10. And they found the stone rolled away from the sepulchre. They entered in and found not the body of Yahshua. It came to pass, as they were much perplexed thereabout, behold, 2 men stood by them in shining garments. This was a heavenly visitation. And as they were afraid, and bowed down their faces to the earth, they said unto them, Why seek ye the living among the dead? He is not here, but is risen. Remember how he spoke unto you when he was yet with you in Galilea, saying, The Son of Man must be delivered into the hands of sinful men, and be crucified, the 3rd day rise again. We understand that word crucified really means impaled. And they remembered his words, returned from the sepulchre, and told all these things unto the 11, and to the rest, to all the rest. It was Mary Magdalene, and Joanna, and Mary the mother of James, that's Yaakov, and other women that were with them, which told the things unto the apostles. Now, if one person has an episode, it can be explained, but when multiple people began to report the same thing, it's hard to discount them, because all of this is going on in the midst of a great deal of disbelief. Let's look at the sunrise account, 3rd time's the charm, as they say, in Mark 16:1, and we're going to go through the 8th verse. I like to do it that way rather than say 1, 2, 3, but if I miss it, I usually say 1, 2, 3. And when the Sabbath was past, Mary Magdalene, that's Miriam HaMagdalene, and Mary the mother of James, that's Yaakov, and Salome, had bought sweet spices that they might come and anoint him. And very early in the morning, the first day of the week, they came unto the sepulchre at the rising of the sun. So this is some 12 hours later, you see. They said among themselves, Who shall roll us away the stone from the door of the sepulchre? And when they looked, they saw that the stone was rolled away, for it was very great. Entering into the sepulchre, they saw a young man sitting on the right side, clothed in a long white garment, and they were frighted. So you see, the details differ somewhat. And out of these different varying details, we began to perceive a common thread. And he saith unto them, Be not affrighted, ye seek Yahshua of Nazareth, which was crucified. He is risen. How many times do we see this theme beginning to penetrate us? He is risen. He is not here. Behold the place where they laid him. But go your way, tell his disciples, and Kepha, that he goeth before you into Galilee. There ye shall see him, as he said unto you. And they went out quickly and fled from the sepulchre, for they trembled and were amazed. Neither said they anything to any man, for they were afraid. Continuing on in this very special study then, let's look at some of the post-reaction to this in Matthew 28:8 through 10. And they departed quickly from the sepulchre with fear and great joy, and did run to bring the disciples word. And as they went to tell his disciples, behold, Yahshua met them, saying, All hail. Remember, he had a very personal encounter with a gal named Miriam Magdalene, and now he's appearing to more than one. They came and held him by the feet and worshipped him. Then said Yahshua unto them, Be not afraid. Go tell my brethren that they go into Ha-Galil, and there they shall see me. So this is a rendezvous point. Let's look at the apostles' reactions in Mark 16:9, and we're going to go through 13. Now when Yahshua was risen, early the first day of the week, he appeared first to Mary Magdalene, out of whom he had cast 7 devils. She went and told them that had been with him as they mourned and wept. And they, when they had heard that he was alive and had been seen of her, believed not. After that he appeared in another form unto 2 of them as they walked and went into the country. They went and told it unto the residue, neither believed they them. And their words seemed to them to be idle tales, and they believed them not. Okay, that was Luke 24:11. And their words seemed to them as idle tales, and they believed them not. So you see, there is a great deal of disbelief going on around them. It's hard for those that see to believe, but when they believe and they go out and relate to people who have not been there, they're running into a strong wall of disbelief. So the initial reaction is one of shock followed by disbelief, just like it would happen to you or I. But with each subsequent, did I just see what I thought I saw? Visit, it becomes clear that something is going on here beyond the norm. Of all disciples, however, John believes. Are these blended accounts or numerous accounts of a singular visits to the tomb? 1, 2, 3. Does John then just stand as a blended form? Each account is unique. One thing is sure, the daylight clock feature guides us through, and our understanding the chronological sequence of events as each account occurs. Late on Sabbath, Saturday, while it was still yet dark, very early in the morning, and at sunrise. None of which proves a Sunday resurrection, even if all of those are taken at face value. In fact, the reverse is true. It disproves such a notion, such a church theory made doctrine. For the resurrection is clearly shown in Matthew's Gospel to have occurred prior to the first day of the week. And what does it establish? It's a pattern of sightings and appearances, similar and dissimilar, all of which clearly occurs on the first day of the week, now commonly called Sunday. So I'm differentiation between a resurrection which takes place at the end of 3 days and 3 nights to appearances which take various forms, take place on Sunday, the first day of the week, is commonly called so. According to the tomb, the women and their visits, from BibleStudents.com, no one gospel gives all the information, but only the message of, and from the 4 gospels together, without contradiction or discrepancy in any detail, it provides the full answer to the knowledge needed by the believing inquirer for total happiness in the knowledge of the mystery of the resurrection. I trust that you have enjoyed my own personal reconstruction of events from Scripture, adding in the unbelievable shock value and waves it must have contained. I consider this a plausibility reconstruction to the best of my understanding of Scripture, and not a dogma. I do believe unscrambling the veracity of what happened from the sense of panic and shock, and blending separate accounts into one, using the chronological aspect of the clock, which is the rising sun, we may be sure of one fact above all others: he is risen still. From Yahshua HaMashiach's True Resurrection Day, a chronology edited by Benora. The Feast of Unleavened Bread was the annual high Sabbath that started on Wednesday sunset through Thursday sunset, the 15th day of Nisan. The women had visited the closed tomb before Sunday sunset, and they started preparing some spices and ointments for embalming. But at Wednesday sunset they stopped to rest for the annual high Sabbath. Luke 23:56, then they went back home to prepare spices and ointments. On Sabbath the women rested in obedience to the fourth commandment. This is from the CJB. Thursday sunset, Friday sunset, the 16th of Nisan, Yahshua is still in the tomb. Friday sunset to Saturday sunset, the weekly Sabbath. The disciples rested again on that weekly Sabbath. Yahshua resurrected on Sabbath, the Saturday just before sunset. The soldiers still guarding the tomb for the evening scared off when they saw the two angels. Mary Magdalene, these are Miriam's. Mary and Salome purchased more spices to anoint Yahshua after the Sabbath. All of this is very plausible. Mark 16:1, and when the Sabbath was past, Mary Magdalene and Mary the mother of James, that's Yaakov, and Salome had bought sweet spices that they might come and anoint him. 2. And very early in the morning of the first day of the week they came unto the sepulchre at the rising of the sun. They used the New King James Version. I used the King James Version as a proper substitute. The two Marys and Salome visited the tomb early on Sunday at dawn with the spices to anoint Yahshua, because the Roman soldiers would have only allowed them into the tomb after the 3 days and 3 nights were complete, all to find that he was not there, but risen, as we read in Matthew 28:1, Mark 16:2, which follows on to a Sunday morning. Shalom. Thanks for joining me, my friends.